What is up, guys? We are live. This is another edition of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. You are in my fan cave, as I like to call it. Um, so obviously the West Virginia Mountaineers are hot on the recruiting trail right now, and in my opinion, really killing it. Really a lot of good additions here lately, especially they continue to really add to this offensive line. And the addition of yesterday in Aiden Buchanan is potentially a program changing type addition. There's just not too many 6'8", 310-pound kids out there with this kind of ability that plays at this kind of school. These usually are the kind of kids that Wisconsin gets or Iowa. Like this is like, and they targeted it, and that's who we won over. Got to give a lot of credit to the culture that Matt Moore, who took a lot of flack in his first few years at West Virginia, has really established in that room. The leadership of guys like Zach Frazier, Doug Nestor, Wyatt Milam, and on and on and on. And you can go back years. It's not just him. I mean, you can even go back to the very beginning. Even, I'm sorry, my cat. Shut up. Nothing I can do about it. So I really am proud of how far this unit has come, and they've got it rolling now, guys. They really do. Aiden's game is really raw still. We probably won't see him on the field for maybe. He's not going to play early right away. Like one of his good friends, in case you guys don't know, and who I've had on the show, is Kyle Altuner, right? And he's probably gonna push for playing time this year. And if any one of those first five messes up, I know Johnny Williams and all those guys are ready to play right now. Kyle Altuner will take somebody's job right now this year. This is a kid that's freshman ready to come in and play like Zach Frazier was. And he's absolutely dominated everybody you can in the camp circuit, 4 and 5 star players. I've got a I think his dad sent me on it. He pancaked like probably 7 or 8 different 4 or 5 star guys during the camp circuit in this year. But anyway, back to Aiden Buchanan. So obviously they're pretty close, and that's Good Counsel High School in Maryland, which is a powerhouse program in Maryland. One of the best high schools in America, much less the country. They're nationally ranked sometimes. Certainly they win a lot in the state of Maryland. And this is becoming a bit of a pipeline. Similar to how Miramar was good to us for those years with Gino and Stedman, and others, Yannick Adjust, guys like that out of the South Florida area. This is starting to be something for us, maybe in the D.C. area. So what is it about Aiden Buchanan's game that I like and think is really good? Well, it's his length, first and foremost. And when you're the size of an Aiden Buchanan, you can get away with things that you can't get away with at the big-time college level. And so he's got a lot of work to do. He definitely drops his head a lot. His footwork has a long way to go. But his length really serves him well, and he plays extremely nasty. He loves to drive dudes into the turf, and that must be something they teach there at Good Counsel, because they're really, when you watch them on tape, their entire offensive line does it. It's something that's something you can tell they pride themselves on. And when you've got Kyle Altuner and Aiden Buchanan and the other kid they got there all playing at the same time, they've got to have one of the best O-lines in the country, So let's get to know and see who this is a little bit. I chose this article just because it was really the first one that popped up, but I have no problems with Blue Gold News. And then they say, Buchanan adds massive size to WVU football commitment list. West Virginia has added a massive offensive lineman to the class of 2020 football commitment list. As you can see, Aiden Buchanan said he's 100% committed. Let's go Mountaineers. Good Counsel offensive lineman Aiden Buchanan is the second big man on that side of the ball to commit to WVU, joining Thomas Barr, who pledged WV last week. His verbal commitment gives West Virginia 5 commitments in that class. The number 58 offensive tackle in the nation and number 28 recruit from Maryland, according to composite rankings from On3. Buchanan chose WVU over finalists, including Kentucky, Wisconsin, Maryland, and Rutgers. And then there you can see our verbal commitments so far this year. Playing left tackle at Good Counsel, Buchanan uses his height and size effectively, creating a wide base from which he is difficult to move or dislodge. He flashes the ability to drive defenders off the ball and also shows some aptitude for sliding and pass protection. There's no question, though, that it's his size and strength that initially opened the eyes of a number of recruiters. Buchanan has been a frequent visitor to WVU's campus, receiving an offer in June 2023. Buchanan had offers from Power Conference members across the eastern half of the U.S., including Pitt, Kentucky, Syracuse, Wisconsin, Miami, Rutgers, Maryland, and Virginia Tech. Boston College, Charlotte, East Carolina, James Madison, USF, Temple, Howard were also on the board with offers. So this is a Power 5 kid. This isn't a reach. You know, we've seen them target guys that maybe weren't as highly recruited, but they've worked out well. You know, this isn't the case here. This is one of the best offensive linemen in America. And you know, he's not an elite athlete on the edge, and I think they're really going to have to fine-tune some things, but he's a very good player. I'm not trying to discourage anybody about Aiden Buchanan or anything. There are just things that his size and length have allowed him to do in light of probably some technique and stuff, which, you know, it's very common. It's why offensive linemen take so long to develop, right, in colleges, because a lot of times they were the baddest man on the planet or on campus in high school. They get to college, and it's a lot more even. So I have no doubt that if he works on this game some, gets some technique pointers or whatever, gets his footwork down, he'll be really good, like really good. You know, he's probably going to have to add some weight to his frame, obviously. 310 for 6'8" is not – it's big for real life, but not football. And so, well, I mean, it's even big in football, but you get what I'm saying. He's going to have to add 20, 30 pounds to that frame, most likely in muscle, you know. So they'll probably drop him some fat, add some weight. He'll probably be 23, 30, somewhere in there. And he'll probably play on the outside, you know. But he certainly could play inside, even at 6'8", in my opinion. He could really do – I know they'll cross-train him, and they'll figure out where he goes. But at the end of the day, this is a huge pickup, guys. And just wanted to get on here and update you about that. Certainly there's other news going on, and Kuz and I will be going live at 8 o'clock to talk about basketball. I know that's what a lot of you probably are wondering about. So we have news in basketball, obviously, and we certainly will get to that. And if you have any questions, certainly don't be opposed to putting those down in the chat box, and I'll try to get to what I can get to. Let's get to a few comments here really quick. Marketon Moto said he's first. Most importantly, he beat Drumwolf. Hey, Joey Foster, how we doing? He said, howdy, everyone. I hope I get to catch the show, but if not, you got my like. Appreciate that, Joey. Mouth of the Mountains, what's up, Mountaineer Nation? Looking forward to Aiden's campaign. I agree, brother. Joe Romano, what's up, brother? Tyler Cobb, what's up, man? He said, what's up, Paul? Huge pickup. This O-line is the heart and soul of WVU football and keeps getting better. Absolutely agree with that. Robert Gurney from Thousand Oaks, California. I appreciate you for joining again, my dude. Markets and Moto, appreciate that. One of those cats? Looks like cats, I think, on the screen. So appreciate that, guys. So there's a lot more to talk about than just this commitment, obviously. And in my outline, I was going to go over it, and I forgot because I'm very much an organic kind of guy when it comes to this thing here. I don't write much down, nothing actually. I just go off the cuff. So maybe I would do better if I had something behind the camera somewhere that could keep me on track. I bought a whiteboard at one point, but maybe I need to use it because bullet points probably would help me. Anyway, so getting to what I want to talk about other than Aiden Buchanan, and certainly if you have questions about that, we can go over it. Talked about the pipeline, talked about how big that's going to be in the future, similar to Miramar, the Miramar pipeline that we had. But spring camp is in full effect. And there is a lot of talk about this wide receiver room right now, in my opinion. It's just one of the many things, really. I mean, we can go linebacker room, we can go defensive backs, we can go defensive line. There's something impressive going on in every position group. And when you look at the wide receiver room, especially, I think they have possibly made the biggest jump, right? And I think they can continue to make a big jump. If you look at some of the highlights they're putting out on the WVU football X page, these kids look so much better. And Bilal Marshall to me, needs to be the recipient of a lot of praise. In his interview 4 days ago, I went back and watched it today. He really talked about how being more consistent for people like Preston Fox, Huddy Tuddy, and people like Rodney Gallagher want to run better routes, right? Everybody has something better they can get better at, or something else they can get better at. And if you look last night, I retweeted it. Rodney Gallagher ran a route, basically an out route, to the outside and broke down the defender and really busted that thing to a tight 90-degree turn and called a touchdown pass. But it was at the top of his route was where I was really impressed with Rodney Gallagher. Last year, he's not running that route that way, guys. He's really getting the technical side of route running down. He's getting the steps. There's an exact number of steps for each and every route that you run that you need to patter into. And so it's all about setting up that route, right? And making a quarterback guess one way, you go another. The ultimate game of chicken when you're coming up against a corner like that. And the one he ran last night at 3 minutes and 7 seconds in, which is what I retweeted, extremely impressive in my opinion, and just goes to show the work is being put in. Because we're not getting much right now. I'm trying to watch for specific things that I had check marked in my head that people should get better at. And Rodney G is absolutely getting better as a route runner, guys. So I think that's something we all have to be extremely excited for, because we all know what he can do when the ball's in his hands. And just like Bilal Marshall said, when the ball's in his hands, that's not a question. It's, can he get to the soft spot of the zone or beat a corner in man coverage to do that? Tyler Cobb wants to know, Paul, do you have a suspicion of any particular people that may enter the transfer portal during spring window? Just curious. I do, Tyler, but unfortunately, I'm not allowed to say right now, man. I'm sorry, but there is going to be a couple guys. This is the best way I can put it. Now, there could be some shockers too, but I've been told to look for a couple guys. Just be watching. There's going to be some players that are ready to play right now that aren't starters that are going to be being tampered with. That just happens every year. So I'm not saying Johnny Williams, but he's the kind of player, right? If you're going to look at the kind of player that usually transfers that can be a hit to a place like that we'd be worried about, Johnny Williams fits that mold. And I'm not saying it's him and that he's going to. He could start right now, right? He's at the level in his career where he could start. There just happens to be a guy better than him like Wyatt Milan, right? And so these programs in West Virginia, we're not the only people that know that. These programs around the country have people that are like me that really look into this and know this kind of stuff, right? Johnny Williams could start in the Big 12 right now. So could somebody come up and tamper with him and offer him a bag or some money? Yes, absolutely. So it happens. So you always have to be watching out for that. And I only use him as an example. If Johnny Williams enters the portal, I promise you I didn't know beforehand or haven't heard anything about it. So maybe it been a bad to put a name on it, but it was the best example I could think of in the moment. So yes, though, Tyler. I just wish I could say more, but I wouldn't be too worried, man. So at least from what I've heard, and I don't know everything. Don't ever claim to know everything, but from where I'm plugged in at, there are some guys that probably can and maybe need to go pursue other opportunities. And then West Virginia in turn can bring in players. It's just a constant ebb and flow. Most likely, they know to a certain extent who those people are. If you don't know whether or not they're going to enter the portal, you certainly know or not whether they're happy. And then, so it's kind of like Ren Baker, right? What did he say? He knew for a long time that he was having to make this coaching change, and he had a long time to sharpen his axe. Similarly, in this kind of thing, Neil Brown probably knows who's happy, who's not, who's ready to play, who's not, who's likely to transfer, who's not. I'm sure they have a list of people that they can go to or players that they can call that would maybe fill these roles to an even better extent or maybe a little worse. But at the end of the day, it's all about being ready and not being caught off guard like what happened to us the first time whenever we lost everybody. Whenever we remember it was like we woke up every single day and a new person was gone. Keith Mesidor was gone one day. J.J. Jefferson was gone another day. I mean, it just went on and on and on. So at the end of the day, guys, yes, portal defections are going to happen. These are the kind of things that you just. The reason I don't bring them up is number one, I've been asked not to. Whenever you have a source that tells you something, and they ask you not to say anything, you got to keep your word. But even outside of that, the player has to be considered here, even though they're leaving. They could be talked back into coming back, and it could be news that could possibly hurt them. Like, they could get attacked in the social media. There's all kinds of things, different ways you see where I'm going. So I just stay away from announcing defectors unless it's somebody that that's definitely going in and everybody knows it or something like that. So. Right. Yeah, I'm sure he is. But like I said, he's the kind of player that programs are going to target, and I'm sure the coaches know that. It happened to CJ last year. It's going to happen. Some of our best players, guys, people are texting them right now saying, "I can give you more money." And it's up to that staff to say, "Look, we got something special this year, possibly. You want to be a part of something special, or do you want to go somewhere and take a chance?" And maybe they do something special, but we know, at least we know as fans, guys, that we are a fourth quarter breakdown against Oklahoma State and a Hail Mary away from 11 wins. That's not speculation. That happened. So we're a fourth quarter breakdown and Ollie Gordon running 4 touchdowns. I don't know what happened. I guess we just got worn down, so that's part of the game. But still, we were in that game. Any number of things could have swung it our way. And a Hail Mary that never should have happened away because, unfortunately, Garrett threw his helmet. Away from 10 or 11 wins. We return everybody, guys, that matters outside of Zach Frazier and a couple other pieces. Beanie Bishop, Zach Frazier, the 2 biggest losses. Guys like Devin Carter and stuff are being replaced, in my opinion. So no offense to Devin Carter. He's probably would have been a lot better in his second year here. But so I really feel like this is a team that's on the cusp. And people can say we're being biased. They can say we're being homers. But at the end of the day, this is a team that I think has a shot at 10 or 11 games. You've got 7 home games, guys. That means you got to win 3 road games, and you're in the Big 12 championship game and likely in the playoff if you win that. I'm just saying. What's up, John Christophic? What's up, J.A. Jones? Hello from England. Hey, I love it. Love it, man. You're probably the only guy on my algorithm from there. Out for the mountains. Appreciate you for that comment, by the way. Chris Sisson, want to think and hope this is the year we take the next step. It has to be, Krista. I love where Neil has us. It's just I don't know if we're ever going to be this reloaded without the portal defections again. It kind of feels like And maybe next year is really the year. I don't know when if all these guys come back for another year, and it's Nico, whatever. But I don't know. But it's we're gonna find out week one exactly, Krista. I know Penn State is just one game, I know, but I think it's so important to get started off on the right foot for once. Yeah, or at least to just have an incredible showing. I want to win the game. Don't get me wrong, but I think there is a path for us to lose that game and still be really encouraged about the rest of the year because look, they're a playoff team as of right now. Josh Payton just said it on his show the other day. This is a playoff team. Penn State is as of right now. A top 3 team, the Big Ten, no doubt about that. They returned everybody. New offensive coordinator that's an upgrade over the last one, no doubt as well. But they return everybody too. You look at their squad, guys, they've got everybody and they've got additions, 5-star additions. I mean, they've got huge additions coming in, whether it's Keandre Lambert-Smith, whether it's Nick Singleton, Katron Allen, whether it's the entire offensive line minus the left and right tackle, whether it's Drew Aller or Bo Pribula, they've got a lot. And don't get me started on the defensive side of the ball. They had a top 20 defense last year, guys, and they returned everybody on that thing too. So, and they've moved people around, right? Abdul Carter, probably in my opinion, could be a top 5 pick in the draft next year. He's playing defensive end for them now, and it's going to be screaming off the edge, probably against Nick Malone, right? I mean, they're not going to play your environment. Maybe he goes against Wyatt Milan, but I'm just saying Abdul Carter is going to be tough to deal with next year, and we're the first team he plays defensive end against. So if you don't know who I'm talking about, he was number 11 last year. He wears number 11 now. They give that number to every player that's the best player on their defense every year. Micah Parsons wore it. LeVar Arrington wore it, started the legacy. So at the end of the day, Penn State's going to be an incredible first test for us and might be the only team, in my opinion, that is just a little more loaded than us. They've got a higher end talent, just a little bit. But I think we're a better team, guys. And I think we got a great shot to win that football game at home. Where it wasn't on the road, you'd have to give them the edge then for sure. And it's still, I think you have to give Penn State the edge. They won last year's game by a few scores. We're not favored in this game, but we've got a chance. And I think that's fair. And I feel really good about it. I really do. It's all about, to me, this game's going to be won and lost on the line of scrimmage. If we had last year's offensive line 1 through 5, I would say give it to us because they couldn't stop our run game last year, and Garrett wasn't the downfield passer he was last year. Right now, in this day and age, Garrett's not only is he going to be a better downfield passer, our receivers are way better. It's not even close. And Garrett's going to be improved in the intermediate passing game. And so basically CJ beat himself to death in that first game last year, keeping us alive, moving the chains. And our defense didn't help us at all, really. So, I mean, they played well for the first half, 3 quarters, but they gave up. They didn't give up, but they got tired. So, I'm excited. Hey, what's up, Shaggy of West Virginia? 80 degrees. I'm telling you, man, it's great outside right now. Tyler Cobb said we just need to be competitive in the Penn State game, and wins will follow. Absolutely do agree. David Sandy, why hasn't Wright and Enright committed? Hey, I'll be going live at 8 o'clock on Hoops from the Hills, David. If you don't mind, go ahead and join over the Hoops from the Hills at 8 o'clock. Coos and I will be live, and we'll talk about that, okay? I just, I think we'll hear something between now and Tuesday. Joey Foster, one of the friends of the show since the very beginning. Hey, Paul, have you noticed how WVU athletics are so much better under Wren? When Shane Lyons was here, we were really bad in every sport, but that has flipped. Well, I mean, and we talked about that when it first happened, didn't we, Joey? And your sources were telling you at the time, as a matter of fact, that it was Shane Lyons, if I remember correctly. So you were really plugged in at the time. Yeah, so I remember we was having those conversations early on, and yeah, it was Stain Lions, and it's because of the NIL situation and all that. We probably had the worst athletic director you could have when NIL came up because his background is in compliance. And so everything in his DNA says don't pay players, don't call players and say, hey, we can give you this and all that. And that's, I think, why he was just kind of didn't really have anything for the portal. And unfortunately, it set us back. And Neil Brown paid a lot of the price for that. Leo Cole, not related to CJ Cole, or maybe he is. I don't know. Hey, Paul, hate to bother you with this and being related to basketball, but did we get Frazier? I'm hearing a lot of news. Yes, we did. Chester Frazier will be a Mountaineer. Here's the thing, though. There's still like one or two small little things with that that needed to be done paperwork wise. But for all intents and purposes, hey, sorry, my cat's eating something off the floor that's certainly not food. Sorry, y'all. But as far as I know, he's gonna be here. So we just gotta wait on a couple little things. But I mean, it could happen any second. You know, this was one of those situations where the West Virginia media didn't get wind of it as quickly as some others did, like Trilly Donovan and guys like that. So it was kind of reported probably before it was ready to be. Because from what I was told, is Trilly had been posting on his Discord for 2 days that it was pretty much a done deal. So, and for those of you that don't know, Trilly Donovan is the most plugged-in burner in college basketball, right? He's got a burner account. Most people think he was either a coach or has worked in some capacity as a coach. And I've had personal conversations with him. He knows his stuff. He knew everything that was going on in West Virginia when it was going on with Jose Perez and everything. So I would never deny that he's very plugged in. So that if you ever want to get a head start on what's going on, I hear Trilly Donovan's Discord is a good place to find it. I haven't myself subscribed at $6 a month, they say. And I am considering it because it's always great to have another outlet, right? Even though to me that's not technically a source, that's like a Discord or a message board. But I mean, you know, it's fair game if you get it. That's right, Krista. He did not know how. Silas, what's up? Hey, all. Went to the WV baseball first baseball game at the new park yesterday. What a blast and great sweep of UCF. Put him in the dustpan. Put him in the dustpan. Joey said, you're right, buddy. I knew he was fired over a week before it actually happened. That's what I reported, and everyone said I was crazy. That they said they were firing Neil Brown. Before we go any further, we have to honor the tribal chief, Dutch Miller Automotive. Forgive me before. Go, honey. Go. I'm sorry. Daddy, get off of here. All right, guys. Let's do this Dutch Miller thing really quick. This episode of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football is brought to you by Dutch Miller Automotive, where friends and family pricing means you get the best deal right up front on any new or pre-loved vehicle in stock every time. With brands like Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Kia, Hyundai, Ford, GMC, Buick, and Subaru, the Dutch Miller Automotive family is always growing and ready to put you in the car or truck you've been searching for. Check out our inventory across West Virginia at DutchMillerAuto.com or come in today to the home of friends and family pricing, only at a Dutch Miller Automotive store near you. I meant to take that comment down first. I apologize for this cat, you guys. She usually doesn't do this, but I think she's in heat or something. And I scheduled a vet appointment to get that done and taken care of. But as of right now, long story short, I know you guys probably don't care, but I have a front door that they're replacing the screen door on right now, and um, so if I leave it unlocked, it just doesn't shut very good, and a strong wind can blow it open, which is what happened when I was asleep the other night, and I woke up to an orange tomcat in my house. So they didn't mate with them, but it certainly threw them both into heat. So I've been dealing with that. If we beat Penn State, what will be two reasons why? That's a good question, Ty. Um, well, number one, we got to play man coverage, and we can't play zone, in my opinion, especially against Cole Nicky. Um, so that's just a sidebar. Two other reasons are going to be, in my opinion, with the win time of possession. That's a part of the formula last year. I think it's going to be a part of the formula this year as we work through the offensive line changes. I do think this offensive line is going to struggle a little bit, especially with early penetration against this really fast Penn State defense. They could dominate the game, but I don't see that happening. I think Abdul Carter and those guys are going to be a problem. And so getting to the quarterback run game and different things like that, running certain counters and a lot of window dressing is going to be really important, keeping their offense off the field. You guys know how good Kansas's offense was. And so scale that up to 4 and 5-star talent, and now give it to Penn State players, and that's what you got. It's not going to get worse. It's only going to get better. Cole Nicky truly was in my opinion, the 2 or 3 best offensive minds in the country. So we got to keep the ball away from him because I think Drew Aller and crew, they've added the 5-star transfer from Ohio State. They've got Tyler Ward at tight end. I mean, they've really got a loaded team. The 2 running backs are back. They're dealing with offensive line issues as well. If we're going to win somewhere, that's where. But I think our new D-backs, we're going to be game for this a little bit. I really do. I feel good about our secondary. It just sucks that it's happening in week 1, guys. And just like last year, they were just more ready to play because they had more experience all around. Not Drew Aller, but everywhere else than us, and it showed, right? Garrett wasn't ready until half the season in. So I think Garrett's going to be the X factor in this game, and my number 2 is Garrett's going to have to rush for 100 yards in this game. I think and also I think we're going to throw for a lot of yards in this game compared to last year when we ran for a lot. Jaheim White out of the backfield catching passes is going to be huge. But I do think Garrett's going to run for close to 100 yards in this game. He's probably going to have to scramble a lot more than normal until the offensive line really gels up. So I'll go time of possession, and then I'll go Garrett running for a lot of yards. On offense, you asked me for 2. I'll give you one more or 2. On the defensive side of the ball, we're going to have to hold up against the run. They're going to really try to run it. And it's not going to be like Penn State last year where it's right down your throat. They've got 2 running backs that can take it the distance, and Singleton and Allen, who are both basically 4 and 5-star players that have run for 1,000 yards each on their own. So they're both dangerous, and they've got other guys too. So how do we slow them down? And does our really young linebacking core get confused by all the option looks that they're going to give us? It's something to watch. So I think slowing them down is going to be a big importance. How did 2 people ask the same question back to back? I answered enough for all of you, though. Snow Lord, thank you for the $1.99 super chat. Neil is getting me excited. Try not to get too hyped. It's tough, I have to find reasons to be concerned because there's been so much positive. And now look, the coaches know what's up, and certainly we have some issues, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we don't. But at the end of the day, it seems like we're going to be a much better football team this year. It's exciting. And you guys, anybody else can also hit the super chat button if you're interested in doing that. Certainly would appreciate it if you can. This is what I do for a living, my full-time job. So Um, it helps. Yeah, I don't know why that is, Shaggy. I guess it's my voice. I'm projecting, so it's like a lot deeper and louder than usual, and it seems to be affecting her for some reason. So, um, nothing I can really do about it. Just kind of keep pushing her away from me. It's weird. Quit. I'm afraid she's going to knock this stand over. Krista said if our offensive line can get us some holes from our running backs in the Penn State game and give Green a little time, we can win. Yeah, listen, it's all, at the end of the day, we're built to win this game. But there are a couple things that worry me about it as far as some of our depth goes. And then obviously I just worry about our D backs a little bit. I think they're going to hold up, but this cat's going to drive me nuts, guys. Sorry. I'll lock them in there next time, I guess. I don't know. Okay. Sorry. Um, but I do worry about just how many new pieces we have in that room, if you think about it. Obviously, at safety, we're pretty good, right? We've got Aubrey and Anthony both coming back. But at the corner spots, it's brand new pieces pretty much. It's on one side, you've got Aiden guards who's just looked incredible all through camp. Montre Miller, who's just been cleared to practice again due to, I think it was a medical red shirt. It was a 4-star transfer last year, guys. Don't forget about that. They rated him as 4-star transfer. Who's somebody I'm really high on. I think he's going to make an impact. And then obviously TJ Crandall and those guys. There's other Hollis, obviously from Northwestern, and Joseph, the Northwestern transfers. That's just all brand new to them. So the kind of defense they run in the Big Ten at Northwestern is not the kind of defense we've ran here the last few years. Thankfully, we've moved to more of a 3-4 that can shift into a 3-3-5, which will happen. So so there's just a lot of new happening, but that also helps us because Penn State's having to do a lot of scouting. They don't really know what we're going to do. We played zone last year. Are we going to do it again this year? Or is it going to be straight up man? I guess they probably have an idea, but they don't know for sure until the game happens. That's right, Tyler. They're not going to be ready for the Blur boys, no doubt about it. I am 100% with you. Hey guys, we have 189 people in here right now, and I appreciate that support. If you haven't subscribed to Mountaineer Paul Talks Football, can you do me a favor and hit the subscribe button for me? I'm like this far away from 2,000 subscribers, and it's been a slow crawl because it's the off season. I get that. It's spring practice, and I get that too. But I promise you guys, I'm going to be doing some serious content here in the next month or so. I've got a lot of videos planned on the team, what's going on within the team, especially. And I'm going to be doing some player interviews as well, trying to work those out. But it unfortunately has to be approved by the front office at West Virginia. And so one of the problems is getting a sponsor to support the NIL calls basically for that needed. So I don't know how it's all going to play out. Coos just did a video with Sean Martin that was similar. So if you like player interviews, maybe players you haven't heard from, and let me know in the comments who you'd like to hear from. Is it Garrett Green? Is it Traylon Ray, Rodney Gallagher, those guys, or was it somebody that you just never see? Maybe you want to see somebody that's from where I'm from. Maybe you want to see Reed Carrico. That's one I could probably get. Or maybe it's like Josiah Trotter, somebody like that. Just let me know. I'll do my best to make it happen. And other than that, obviously I'll do the recruiting breakdowns, and then obviously have guests on here from time to time. We have guys like Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke, David Smoke. We've had John Kurtz, all the way up to, as you know, Jared DeVries, who played 12 years in the NFL. So it's everybody and nobody sometimes on this show, but it's something I built with my own two hands that I'm proud of. And if you can subscribe, would certainly appreciate it. Uh, Leo, that's what this video is about, brother. I'm sorry if you came in late, but that's actually what this video is about. I broke it down at the beginning of the video. If you want to rewind to the beginning, I broke down basically the ins and outs of his game a little bit. Um, but yes, absolute huge pickup, Leo. Um, like I said earlier, I think the big thing about Buchanan here is number one, he's the second big name we've gotten from that school, Kyle Altuner, who will be a freshman this year on the West Virginia team, uh, and is just a wrecking ball of a center. Was the first, and Good Counsel in Maryland is a powerhouse program. And we when we've been really good in the past, we've always had connections to schools like that. Miramar was one that everybody will know about with Gino and Stedman and Yanni Kajus and players like that, right? So we've got a pipeline, what is what they call this in the college football world, going with this school right now, and they're a school, the kind of school that releases 4 and 5 star players every year, 3, 4, and 5 star players all the time. So it's a powerhouse program. So on his game, I broke it down at the beginning. I would prefer if you want to see that, just rewind to the beginning. It's the very first thing I talked about. So a lot to say about his game. He plays with a mean streak, but he does have some stuff to work on because when you're that physically gifted in high school, obviously you're going to come with some habits. So that's kind of what I went over at the beginning of the video, Leo. Appreciate the comment, though, sir. I'll do my best. I'll do my best. Being that he's basically a freshman and all that, I don't know how they're handling it with him. I haven't obviously seen him in any interviews for the player interviews yet, or if I have missed them. So I'll be looking forward to. Let me see what I can do on that mouse for the mountains. Tyler Cobb said Steven with Garrett's legs. I think that he can be held off just long enough for Garrett to get the ball out. Yeah, it's gonna be tough to hold Abdul Carter off, guys. I'm not gonna lie, but they're gonna chip. They're gonna put a second guy over there, no doubt about it. I don't have any doubt about it. All right, guys. Appreciate you for stopping in on this episode of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. We're gonna take an hour break. Okay. Hoops from the Hills. We're gonna have all the basketball news that you could want on the last couple of days, whether it be we had portal visits. I'm going to give you guys a confidence meter on how I feel about whether they're going to commit, who they're going to commit or not. Going to be talking about obviously the new coaching hires, right? And stuff like that. Probably a couple of little things. I have to talk with Coos and see what we can fit in, but it's going to be a good show over there on Hoops from the Hills. If you're not familiar with Hoops from the Hills, guys, just type in Hoops from the Hills in YouTube, and you'll see it. It'll pop right up, and you can click on that and subscribe there too. Appreciate you for joining in with me, guys, and sticking with me through this. This has been another edition of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. This episode is over. I'm out.